I was formerly the best player in the world in a mod of Super Smash Bros. Brawl known as Project M. Project M was extremely popular in 2014, but development was shut down by Nintendo due to their policies on mods. While the community is still alive and kicking through Project Plus, the stories of the competitive PM community are and will continue to be rich and diverse.
Oh, mess around, pops off! Paragon, Los Angeles!
This is how my main, Diddy Kong, transformed throughout the history of my favorite game. Hey guys, it's me, Junebug. Join me and some of the best Diddies to ever do it as we fanboy over our character. Diddy Kong was released in Project M in Demo 2.5 alongside Ivysaur, Squirtle, and Zero Suit Samus in late 2012. Like all characters in-game, there are some fundamental differences that separate them from their Brawl counterparts. Diddy Kong is fast and has a long dash dance. He was also given a weight and gravity in the semi-fast faller archetype, similar to other iconic PM characters like Lucas and Roy. All of his moves are the same as in Brawl, but there's some key differences as to how they work. Most notably, he can run off stages and platforms with his dash tech, and getting hit by his banana can be teched. Because of these subtle changes to his kit, he still carries the same game plan in Brawl that led him to a success in that game, winning neutral many times with his 2 bananas, and killing at the higher percents. I have to shout out the Brawl Diddy Kongs that pioneered the way for PM Diddy, such as ADHD, who popularized the oppressive neutral setup that we saw. 1 banana in front to cover an approaching opponent, and the other in hand to have a quick out of shield and out of movement punish. Unlike what we will see in Project M's future, Diddy Kong was not one of the most popular characters immediately on his release.
My early thoughts on Diddy, especially when he first came out in 2.5, was he was very strange, having bananas knocked down instead of trip. So I messed around with him a little bit, but I didn't really catch on to playing him a little bit. I don't know if he was like broken in that version, because like that version I think didn't see as much like publicity, I would say.
The demo area is honestly Wild West in terms of meta, and Diddy didn't have the strongest reps right off the bat. Characters like Sonic, Bowser, Mario, and most of the Melee top tiers were running the show at the time, and it would take a little while for Diddy to perform on the big stage. You want to talk about good characters? Oh my god, 2.6 Sonic. That was a good character, man.
This is a horrible idea.
While Diddy Kong only had small tweaks between the versions, Project M as a whole changed forever when version 3.0 was released. More specifically, 3.02, the competitive scene exploded and reached what many called the Golden Age. It was this golden age that the character really began to hit its stride. I talked about why this character was so successful in this video here, being one of the 4 horsemen of PM 3.0, along with Mewtwo, Lucas, and Pit. Diddy was really popular in this time period. He had great neutral, amazing kill confirms, and recovery from the bottom blast zone. Shoutouts to Deep Kong.
Deep Kong? Deep Kong!
I personally fell in love with Diddy in this era. Before PM, I was a Brawl player, and Brawl functions very differently than Melee and PM, to say the least. Rishi and I were grinding 3.0 characters during this time, and we both happened to fall onto top tiers. Mewtwo and Diddy, respectively. Combination of Brawl tech with bananas and glide tosses, and having to learn the new Melee tech like wave dashes, movement, and L canceling made him feel like the perfect character to utilize my skill set. And it showed, as I began to dominate the MDVA region with Diddy Kong during one of the more prominent periods of PM.
Hit him with the juice truck.
There's the
There it
juice
is.
truck.
This guy's coming out here on a dominant force. He was moving up the ranks, man. He was always making like 3rd and 2nd. Now he's out here taking 1st.
If there was a smash at Xanadu, there was a pretty high chance I was winning. The key to my victories was the Diddy neutral game. Brawl is a very neutral-heavy game, and Diddy allowed me to play neutral mix-ups again and again with advantage due to his projectile setups. While my punish game was certainly lacking compared to other players and characters, it was certainly good enough due to the nation meta. Despite my regional dominance, and while Diddy Kong was absolutely one of the best characters in the game, he did not win any majors during 3.0's lifespan. Pit and Mewtwo were definitely the biggest of the 4 in terms of tournament wins, but Diddy Kong's results were nothing to scoff at either. In the national scene, myself along with Seagull Joe and Ninja Link were some of the main national representatives for Diddy. We saw many major and regional top 8s such as Big House 4, PM Showdown, and the Katar series. Zenith 2014 was perhaps Diddy's best performance. Seagull Joe placed 7th, Ninja Link placed 5th, and I got 2nd, making Diddy the most represented character in the top 8.
I guess because there were so many characters in 3.0 that were kind of at that level. Like you still had Lucas and Mario and Pit and Mewtwo, a lot of other characters that were also dominating the meta. So it didn't really feel like, to me, Diddy was the one sticking out. He definitely felt like a step above a lot like most of the cast along with the other characters I had listed, but it wasn't like the most dominant thing in the metagame at the time.
To many players, the end of 3.0 was when things started to take a turn for the worse. 3.5 was a major nerf patch to the majority of the cast, aiming to tone down a lot of the broken nature of a lot of character designs. Notably for Diddy, he lost the ability to have 2 bananas out at the same time, now only having 1, like in Smash 4 and Ultimate. With this, he also received a pretty significant recovery nerf. The 4 horsemen top tiers became shattered. But for Diddy Kong, his dominance was only really getting started. While some of the other 3.0 reps started to dwindle, I was at the forefront of a new pack of Diddy mains. Bacon Pancakes, Arrow, and Luck all performed throughout the next few years of the game at the top level. In the first year of 3.5 in 2015, Diddy Kong won his first major, Low Tier City, which was also my first major. Let's go. And then I won Blacklisted. And then I won We Tech Does. And then I won Final Boss. I was cooking. I was cooking. Just throw up all the tournaments here. I don't want to list them all. While there was no official PM rank at the time, I was pretty solidly the best PM player in the world in 2015, all while piloting Diddy Kong. My story just doesn't paint the whole picture of this character's dominance. The next year, 2016, was when we had PM rank. And in that year, myself, Beeps, Arrow, and Luck were featured on the top 50. There was also multiple tier lists coming out in this era. In the first PMBR tier list, Diddy was ranked 2nd in the game behind Fox, and the second tier list in mid-2016, Diddy was seen as the best character in the whole game. At the end of 2016, I started to take a step back from PM to focus on working Melee. At the time, it felt like my style was falling off. As good as Diddy Kong's neutral was, it didn't seem like he could hit as hard as Donkey Kong, or Wario, or Mario, or Donkey Kong, or Donkey Kong. But it was actually a Diddy Kong main from within my own region who picked up the torch right after.
Once I started picking up Diddy Kong around like 2016, I was still a dual main with Fox throughout that time. I was still traveling a lot, doing well at locals and majors. And then 2017, I think, is when I started playing more and more Diddy Kong. I started using Fox more on the back burner as a secondary until I think mid-2017, I dropped him completely and just went solo Diddy Kong main. I really like the item game, his movement, his edge guards, some of his punish game. He just felt really good to move around with.
Kill. Yeah. Air kill. Strong game 1.
Beeps' style involved many optimizations in the framework set up by those before him. Beeps is an incredibly analytical individual, and when it comes to his playstyle or his life, there are many things that are optimized.
I think I really tried to kind of optimize his punish game, his edge guards in particular. I really tried to introduce some more like specific movement tech and just try to do as much as I could to get as much damage and try and get a kill early and, you know, make every hit count. So you had revolutionized the neutral game and I was trying to do the same with the punish game.
When BP got a spacey off the stage, it could be death almost every time. When BP played neutrals against floaties, he would make it impossible for them to get in. This is a terrifying version of Diddy Kong. One that relied less on winning neutral again and again, and more on preventing you from getting the hit and destroying you when he got it.
Ooh. Oh, that was so clean! Mrs. Steal Your Leg.
He won multiple stacked regionals like Worlds Collide, Don't Sleep 3, Shell Shock 20, and the SmashCon 2019 side event.
I fought Switch in the grand finals, and that was actually a pretty big moment for me because I had gotten second to him at the same event in the prior year, and then being able to kind of get the run back and win a big tournament within the home region in MBBA with the homies around me, like that was like a fucking insane experience.
BP also placed top 6 at the biggest PM tournament of all time, even bigger Valk. He really wanted me to include this part.
Oh man, that was such a great experience. Like having the whole crowd. If you go back into one of the videos, I think there's even Ramsey like holding up the Maryland flag after I take a game off Sosa. Oh, it was so hype.
There was never a point in time which there wasn't a Diddy Kong player in the top 20 of any PM rank all throughout the 3.5 and 3.6 era, as BP went on to top 5 in the world in 2019. Diddy Kong ended the 3.6 era as 4th on the final tier list, making him one of the most consistent top tiers. Unfortunately for PM, or Project Plus as it's called at this point, the next few years had a lot of things stacked against it. COVID single-handedly stopped a ton of momentum because there was no Slippy-esque rollback. Brawl back one day, please. Along with that, many events were facing shutdowns, making the return to competition incredibly challenging. Many players of the scene stepped back, with P+ still working hard to grow its tournament attendee base without the ability to tie it directly to major events. Among the players that stepped away were essentially all the top Diddy players. For almost 2 years, there was no prominent Diddy Kong mains. The whole landscape has changed completely, with the players dominating in early P+, playing Mario, Ice Climbers, and Lucario. All these characters' punish games had become so strong and optimized that they'd overtaken neutral-heavy characters like Diddy Kong. In the first post-pandemic rankings, there was only one Diddy Kong present, and it wasn't even their main. It was Sneeze, the longtime Rob player, who had done just enough with his Diddy secondary to warrant its representation. But side note, although it's a few years later, Sneeze is looking like one of the best players in the world right now with Rob, so that's pretty cool. In the first tier list for P+, things fell off a bit too. Diddy fell to 18th on a 2022 tier list. Still a high tier, but not nearly at the point of dominance we were used to seeing him. This is wild because, like, nothing really changed about him. None of his tools changed, but relative to the meta, he changes a lot. And that's something that we see even to this day in Melee with Donkey Kong.
My opinion of him started going down, like, probably when Beeps was playing is when I more so was thinking about it. I mean, he got 5th at even bigger bout, but he lost to Wario, which is a tough matchup, and then Ice Climbers, which is like, you know, there's arguments for it being okay, but like still tough, especially at the time, you know, and Ices will literally kill you at 0% at the ledge. He's really good in a certain character. He's kind of like a polarizing character in that, like, he can outspeed a lot of characters, but if they're really floaty, they're hard to actually, you know, get to a point where you can kill them sometimes.
This trend of minimal use continued well into 2023 until Diddy received a new top representative out of the blue. An established high-level player started to pick up the monkey, hoping it would be the key to take him even further. Sipmastah, aka Boring Man, was also known for maining many characters in a game featuring lots of solo mains. He has a Meta Knight, he has a Sonic, he has a Lucario. He added Diddy Kong to that roster in mid-2023, debuting it at the Midwest Major Warp Zone. It only took half a year for Parker to win his first major using Diddy Kong, being against all odds. Sipmastah ended 2023 ranked 8th in the world, and many were asking if Diddy Kong was back. Sipmastah's ability to pick up characters came into play when studying Diddy Kong. Rather than taking a page out of myself's or Racine's book, he wrote his own. He would notice that both me and BP would often reset to neutral in order to pull a banana, and believed Diddy could be forcing advantage sometimes instead.
I kind of hit the sweet spot almost of, like, I don't feel like I have to rely on banana most of the time. I watched a lot of your VODs, and I watched a lot of Beep's VODs. I think you're neutral, and I think Racine's punish, I think, are both relevant.
The age-old adage came into play. What happens if you combined PPMD's neutral and Mutaking's punish? The answer is a better, stronger version of a player that couldn't exist without those before him. He won Exodus in 2024. He won Bigger Mile High Club and Warehouse War, all primarily using Diddy Kong. Sipmastah is almost guaranteed to be #1 in the world this year, and Diddy Kong is back to being represented as the best nearly a full decade apart from my reign. Pretty cool.
Diddy's the most fun character I play, so like I'm trying to play as much as possible, but like, you know, I'm getting #1 with Diddy with like an asterisk because like I have other characters, you know.
It's cool to see Diddy succeed. As a character that has gone up and down in terms of viability, it does feel like a real comeback story. And I have a personal bias in the success of this character, as I feel like he showcases a skill that I really enjoy in Super Smash Bros. Neutral.
You know, shout outs to the homies. If I had to go back, I wouldn't do anything differently, really. So, shout outs to the community.
Really? Everything? Everything the same? Like Shell Shocked Grand Finals?
Maybe.
Who's to say how the Project Plus meta will develop in the future? Maybe I'll need to dust off my gloves one more time. But for now, I'll be watching it like a proud dad, seeing my friends and peers play in my favorite platform fighter with my favorite character. Diddy Kong. Diddy Kong. I'm the best Diddy Kong.